Summary of A Horseman in the Sky by Ambrose Bierce. In the fall of 1861, the American Civil War is in full swing. Carter Drews, a young Union soldier, has been put on watch duty near the edge of a cliff that looks out over a forest-filled valley. 5 Union Army units are hiding in the valley while they rest and get ready to strike a nearby Confederate camp by surprise. Even though they are hidden in the valley, they are still at risk because there is only one narrow way in and out. The way the land is set up makes it so that if their enemies found them, they would be in a bad position and unable to get away. The storyteller briefly talks about the morning that Drews left the house where he grew up. Drews is the son of rich parents from Virginia, and he grew up in comfort and with a good education. Since he was from Virginia, everyone thought he would fight for the Confederate States. Even so, he felt forced by his morals to join a passing Union unit. Drews's father called him a criminal at the time, but he also told him, "Do what you think is your duty." His father says that Drews's mother is dying, but if both of them live through the war, they might be able to get along again. Drews and his father show each other respect as they say goodbye for the last time, and Drews leaves his parents to become a Union fighter, showing himself to be brave and honorable. The scene on the cliff is brought back into the story. Even though it was important for Drews to keep watch, and even though he is a brave and honorable man, he has fallen asleep. But his gun is already ready to fire, and when Drews wakes up, he sees that while he was asleep, a single Confederate officer has crept up to the edge of the cliff and is looking down into the valley at the exposed Union troops. Drews can't tell who he is yet because his face is turned away. The horseman is standing still. In the afternoon sun, he looks so beautiful and noble that Drews isn't sure at first if he is really awake. He thinks that he may have slept through the end of the war and is now looking at a memorial that was built in his honor. He looks around at the beauty of the scene and the shape of the horseman, which reminds him of a marble figure from ancient Greece. Just enough for Drews to remember where he is and what he needs to do, the horse moves. He points his gun at the chest of the horseman. The horseman turns his head and seems to look straight at Drews, but he doesn't actually see him in the trees. Drews turns pale and almost passes out. The weight of what he is about to do hits him hard. He thinks about whether it's right to kill a man for the simple act of knowing something dangerous. He even briefly thinks about letting him go, hoping that the horseman hasn't found the Union troops. But he quickly sees that this is a hopeless plan. Drews tries again, but this time he shoots at the horse. His father's words keep going through his mind like a divine command, telling him to put duty ahead of everything else. He takes a deep breath and fires. Both the horse and its rider fall off the edge of the cliff. The bullet kills the horse, and the fall kills the person. A lost officer from one of the Union troops is standing under the shadow of the cliff. When he looks up, he sees the man still on his horse and falling to his death. But instead of seeing what is really happening, he thinks it is a flying horseman. He thinks that the vision is a picture of the end of the world. He is so sure that the horseman was really flying through the air that when he hears the bodies hitting the trees below, he looks for them as if they had been floating instead of dropping straight down. After Drews shoots, he reloads his gun and lies down in a bush to keep watch. His face is white, but he doesn't seem to care. A sergeant creeps up to him and asks what he has been shooting at. Drews tells him that the guy on the horse he killed was his own father, but he doesn't move or look at him.
About the author. Ambrose Bierce was born in Ohio to a big family. Even though they were poor, his parents still liked to read and write. They taught their son to do the same. Bierce grew up in Kosciuszko County, Indiana. When he was done with school, he worked as an apprentice printer. At age 19, he signed up to fight for the Union Army with the 9th Indiana Infantry. He was in a lot of fights, but the Battle of Shiloh was the most important one. It changed him for the rest of his life. After he got out of the army, Bierce moved to San Francisco and worked as a journalist and editorial writer for a while. When he wrote for a few local papers, he got some attention, and this was the real start of his writing career. He spent 3 years in England, where he wrote for more mags and released The Fiend's Delight, 1873, his first book. Bierce's most famous works were his collections of morbid fiction, Tales of Soldiers and Civilians, 1891, and Can Such Things Be? 1893, in which he wrote about his own experiences in the Civil War from limited points of view, and The Devil's Dictionary, 1906, a satirical and cruel dictionary of his own ideas about society. In 1871, Bierce married Molly Day, with whom he had 3 children. Both of his boys died before he did, and in 1904 he split up with his wife. In 1914, Bierce told his contacts that he was going to Mexico to watch the Mexican Revolution led by Pancho Villa. No one heard from Bierce again after this. No one ever found out how, when, or where he died.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.